Tried to make me go to rehab. I said no.
129 people die every day in this country from a drug overdose.
Why so serious?
Recovery can be fun.
Recover out loud. Break the stigma.
Host Holly and various guests discuss the important topics about addiction and recovery. They are not quote-unquote experts, but just real people telling real stories. Any or no addictions are welcome. Recovery Talk starts now.
Welcome to Recovery Talk. My name is Holly. I'm your host for today's episode. In a little bit, we're going to be hearing from Lori, who is a mother whose son had dealt with addiction and recovery. She's going to be calling in soon and just sharing some of her experience on how addiction and recovery has impacted her life. So we're going to hear from her in just a minute.
Hi, Holly.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for taking my call.
You are very welcome.
Good. So how's your day going today?
Oh, it's beautiful outside. How could it not go well?
I know. It is so nice out today. It's like you don't even want to stay inside.
I actually am, home today, so I am right by the window.
Oh, that's nice. I know right after this podcast that I'm going to go outside and try to enjoy the weather while we can.
Definitely. You have to, because it's not going to last.
No. Well, thanks so much for taking my call. I guess we'll just get right into it. So Lori is a mother whose son had dealt with addiction and recovery. She has devoted much of her time to raise awareness about addiction, and your work is very appreciated, Lori. If you just want to tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe about your background, how has addiction and recovery impacted your personal life?
Sure. So most of my career I spent doing systems training for both technical colleges as well as private business, and had just, kind of that perfect family. I got two kids. My daughter is 13 years older than my son, so we did terrible twos and driving at the same time. But everything. My husband is a psychotherapist. We did a lot of family activities. We everybody in our family has second degree black belts in Kempo karate that we did together. And, my son was very successful in school, honor student, soccer team captain. He was a national martial arts competitor. And at the age of 15, he was given a prescription for Vicodin. And we really did not understand what this medication does to the chemicals within an adolescent brain. And it really started us on the journey to addiction, even though he took them as prescribed. So we really, I personally was very uneducated when it came to addiction, and while my husband understood it from the mental health perspective, we were pretty new to this whole thing, and it was a struggle. We really did not understand how to address the issue, how to deal with it, how to find help, and it really wasn't until I saw Representative Nygren on the news talking about the HOPE agenda that I realized, other families were struggling, and I had reached out to him. He actually kind of became that initial supporter, sharing his story with me, and finally, after a couple of months, he had his bill going up in front of the committee to be voted on, and he asked whether or not I would come and testify about the Narcan law, because I really felt that particular law was critical to saving our kids. And my son had overdosed and been revived with Narcan. So the first time I ever said the words out loud that my son had a heroin addiction was at the state capitol in front of TV cameras in a legislative committee. So it was pretty intimidating, but it really was the catalyst to changing my life. I ended up having a lot of other families that started reaching out and saying, hey, hey, this is me. We're struggling with the same thing. We thought we were alone, and really realized that as parents, there's not a lot of resources out there. I joined several online support groups, and through that met a group of women around the country who had children in various stages of addiction or recovery or incarceration due to their addiction, and we ended up founding a nonprofit support group called Change Addiction Now, and out of that came Wisconsin CAN, which stands for Change Addiction Now, and United We Can. And we have a little over 1,000 members, but I think that what really stood out as I started talking to other families was how much I needed to know, how much information I was lacking to know what to do in my life when it came to, the addiction and how it was impacting us. So the educator in me said I needed to learn, and I spent the last 4 years taking a lot of classes. I'm certified in prevention, substance abuse, trauma-informed care, crisis intervention, suicide prevention, and recovery coaching.
Wow.
So I quit my job. At that time, I was doing organizational change management and training as part of computer system implementations. So I quit that and spent 4 years spending my own money working.
Yeah.
But, it basically, I learned so much, and it really changed how I looked at addiction, how I looked at people with addiction, and how I looked at my own son.
Yeah.
I think if there's, my son has been in 8 different residential programs, 6 outpatients, 6 sober livings, all in the last 7 years. And if there's one thing I think that I'm most frustrated with is that no one ever said to us, understand the disease of addiction and what it does to the brain.
Right. And I think a lot of people, they're uneducated about addiction and how it is chemically in your brain, and people don't understand it. So I think that's super cool that you took all that time and you went and took those classes to learn more about it.
Like I said, it really changed my life, but also it significantly improved my relationship with my son. I learned that, I stopped being angry at him, because I understood then that when he would say, no, Mom, I'm not going to do it again, at that point in time, he really did mean it.
Yeah.
But when the need for that grudge hit, he just wasn't able to stop himself. And so it wasn't that he wanted, that he wanted to lie and manipulate. It was the fact that his brain was saying, you need this as much as you need food or water, and you need to do whatever you can because you're starving.
Yep.
So, even when he was actively, and so we are a bit unusual as parents. I am not a fan of tough love. We did try that based on counseling recommendations. It was very disastrous and almost resulted in loss of his life. So he knows that he is allowed to live in our home even if he has relapsed. The only thing is he has to respect our boundaries, such as not bringing drugs in and out of the house, not having people over, not stealing from us, those type of things. And he's been able to respect that when he relapsed the last time. But even when he was on the street, I learned I could have a relationship with him. We would meet weekly for lunch, and he had his rules. I couldn't talk about treatment and recovery, and he couldn't ask for money. So we didn't talk a lot, but at the end of the day, I always got my hug, and I love you, Mom, and that's all I needed. So, I think that as a recovery coach, right now I work for Homeless Connections, so I'm in a part of the street outreach team. A lot of the people that I'm out with that are on the streets, they're staying at the warming shelter, that are in active addiction, have no one. They burned their bridges, and families have walked away. And sometimes I understand families have to walk away in order to preserve themselves and their own sanity. But it's pretty heartbreaking. I know my son said to me once, if you'd have walked away, I don't know what I would have done, because if you couldn't be there and still love me no matter how sick I was, how could I love myself? And I thought that was just a real powerful piece of insight.
Yeah, that's a very powerful statement. I met Alex a few years ago about the time he was dating Cassie Nygren, and I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about State Representative John Nygren's daughter Cassie, about her recent arrests?
It really hurts my heart. I actually knew Cassie before my son even met her, because it was Cassie's story that changed my story, to be honest with you. So Cassie has always had a very special place in my heart, and it hurts because I know that she has tried so hard to maintain her sobriety, and it's obvious that didn't work, and it saddens me that she wasn't able to reach out and say, hey, I need help. And it's just, I struggle. I've always struggled a little bit with charging people for overdoses harshly, not for dealing. I honestly believe that we have to make sure that we're holding people accountable for their actions. But when I say we're holding people accountable for their actions, that includes not just the person selling it, but also the person that's using it. When I look when I talk to people that are in active addiction or that are in recovery, I would say probably 99% sell to their friends. Right. That's the way it works. You take turns picking up. You share. You sell a little bit here so that you can afford your own drug because you don't have a job. Yeah. So it's for lack of a better term, normal behavior to sell or share amongst friends. And so there's a responsibility there that, yes, you're selling a drug, but as a user, I also see there's a responsibility and accountability that you made that decision to use a drug. 2.5 years ago, Alex overdosed here in my house. I found him and revived him. I knew exactly where he got his drug from, and when the young man that he had been using with reached out, he actually called Alex's phone, and I simply answered it because he was on probation at the time. Once he was revived and stabilized, he was arrested. So when his friend reached out to me or called to talk to Alex, I explained to him what happened, and he was devastated because, and he even made the statement, I hate what my life has become. I hate what's almost happened here. So I offered to recovery coach him. So 2.5 years later, he's not used heroin since. Wow. He's got a job for a nonprofit doing good things. He's got his kids back. He's got a relationship with his family. I've never held him responsible for Alex's decision to use. So I think that, in some ways we have to figure out a better way to manage, I understand that the blind bias law was developed back before we really understood addiction. Most of these people that are being charged in overdoses, they're as sick as the person that used and overdosed. And it's a roll of the dice as to who overdoses often. It could have been the person that sold that day that got it from their friend that overdosed tomorrow. I mean, it's just the way the whole system works. So, it makes me very sad anytime that I hear a family losing their child, because I think that when you have a child with an addiction, you know that every day is a gift because, you know, in recovery today, gone tomorrow, it happens.
Yeah, and I agree with that as well. I feel like the people who are choosing to use, you know, they are taking responsibility of putting that drug into them, and consequently, whatever is going to happen, they know that before they pick it up.
Well, and I think my biggest frustration is that we tell people with addiction that